Hey YouTube, Coppersan here. Today we'll be jumping through various time periods in MapleStory history to explore the most popular training maps. Only real MapleStory veterans remember training in these maps. After rolling the dice for what felt like 200 years and completing Maple Island, we leave to Lith Harbor. After walking to your starting town, Maplers would usually walk to the slime tree to train there for the first few levels. This was a big map where multiple parties filled with adorable noobs would train and just hang out. Or you would just train at a map near your starting town. So if you were a thief, you would train at the Octopi near Coninck City, archers would train at Orange Mushrooms in maps around Hanøy, and warriors would train at stumps around Pirion. Or Maplers went to Hanøy's Hunting Ground 1 to hang out, talk with each other and maybe occasionally hit a monster here and there. Shortly after the Big Bang update, a new map got introduced near the Nautilus where they would spawn blue ribbon pigs. I think actually they were the best for training there just for the first few levels, plus their etc drops would sell for 100 meso each, making you pretty rich for that level. Pre-Big Bang, if you were strong enough, around level 15, you would go to Pig Beach to get leather and just generally avoid the Iron Hawk. You would train there for a couple of hours, sometimes even for a day, just to reach level 20. Around level 20, Maplers would go to the mushroom trees in the Linea, maybe to find a panlet and just to try and level up. Or if you were strong enough and you had enough accuracy to actually hit the monsters there, you would go to the Ant Tunnel and then also the Ant Tunnel mini dungeon. Pre-Big Bang, there were various mini dungeons scattered around the maps where you would just train in a solo map, which is actually pretty nice. Maplers usually stayed there until level 30 in the Ant Tunnel, or they went to Sturgis in the Coninck subway. Or if you had friends online and there was a free channel available, many Maplers would spend hours at the Coninck City party quest, the first time to get a party quest, fighting King Slime. For Pre-Big Bang Maplers, training in the Ant Tunnel continued all the way until level 35. The levels between level 30 and 35 used to be called Hell levels because it took forever to level up. Usually you would have to put points in Mastery first and you wouldn't get any new attacks. It was pretty dark and bleak, to be honest, and there wasn't really a lot of variation. There were not really any team dungeons. So yeah, it wasn't the most fun, I'd say. Maplers would also fancy training at Wild Boars in Pirion. Those at least would drop some leather that you could use to make work gloves with. After Big Bang, Maplers usually went to the first iteration of Mushroom Kingdom, which was great EXP. Alternatively, Maplers went to CDs in the Coninck Tower. Back then, this was a low-level area, which was a perfect grinding spot to train all these new classes that just kept being released one at a time. It felt like a new class every month was a thing for a while. There were a ton of PQs as well Maplers would be busy with. There was Ludi PQ, of course Monster Carnival, and Ludi Maze PQ, which were all around this level 35 mark. I myself remember on my sliding mage going to Florina Beach to train at the monsters there, the Lorangs, the crab monsters, because those were weak to lightning. The game changed when Singapore and both Quaytown were released, introducing a lot of new training spots for level 30-35 players. Those training spots were pretty okay pre-Big Bang, but after Big Bang there was a bit of a whoopsie, I think, because for some reason the trucker monsters gave way too much EXP for the level, making that like the #1 training spot for any class until level 70 for a while. By the way, if you are enjoying these nostalgic videos, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. After reaching level 50, many Maplers would train at either monsters in Ludibrium, Orbis, or the zombie lupins near Linea when those still existed. Ice Lightning Mages would also train at Red Drakes, who used to be around Pirion, and hoping that those monsters would drop Steelies, which were super valuable back then. Afterwards, Maplers would either venture deep into the Ant Tunnel to train at maps like Dragon Meat Table, or go to the Forest of Golems, or Fog for short, to reach level 70 for that third job advancement. After Big Bang, when Monster Park came out, I remember it being amazing EXP. It was super broken, below level 100 as well. Like, you would have to collect these card fragments to gain entry, but you would just have the best training spot ever for a while. And I believe there was no entry limit back then. It was just depending on how many card fragments you could find from monsters, which was insanely broken. But of course the best training spot ever, at least in GMS, was Jesters at the Haunted Mansion. Those monsters gave almost 4k EXP, which was insane. Even today, that's pretty overpowered already. Like, they were pretty strong, but with all these new overpowered classes like Mercedes, Phantom, Demon Slayer coming out, training at these maps was getting easier and easier. There were two different areas as well for the Jesters. One was a big area which was always super packed, and one was a smaller room where I usually went to, where only 4 of them would spawn, but hey, they gave 4k EXP, so it was fine, you know. Coolie zombies in Alnat were also heavily trimmed down in numbers back then, when there were literally no other maps to train at. Like, it was, you went from the Ant Tunnel to Dragon Meat Table to coolie zombies, and then that was kind of it back then. Maybe Banes afterwards, I don't know, but it wasn't really that much going on. It might sound a bit crazy, but back then there just weren't that many maps to go and explore and train at. Maple was slowly getting more and more content though, with the addition of, for example, Mulong, straw target damage were introduced, offering a good alternative training spot at level 50. But when Maple reached around level 70, 75, both Quay Town in Singapore came back into the picture. First training at those tube slides before slowly moving towards the ghost ship for one of the most contested training spots in the game back then. Most maps outside and inside the ghost ship had safe zones where you could stand without getting hit, so you could hit the monsters but the monsters couldn't hit you. Clerics, whose only mobbing skill was heal before Big Bang, really liked this map. Before maps like that even existed, high-level Maples were forced to train at Aqua Road at the gobies who would spawn from defeating those bombing fish houses. Usually the map was split up between multiple parties so everyone could get a share. Getting closer to level 100, Heims or Dreamy Ghosts came into the picture, becoming one of the more popular training maps when Zipangu was first released. The map still exists, but the monsters aren't really that cool anymore, they're not that great EXP wise. At level 110, shortly after Big Bang, something amazing happened. Lion King Castle was released with a party play area. In these maps, the more party members you had, the more EXP you would get, and the monsters were super beefy, like they were really tanky. But it was an amazing training spot where you would just find a party together and just grind all together. It was really fun. Before Lever was released, deep inside the clock tower in Lidibrium was the only viable training spot for high-level Maplers, training at Spirit Vikings, Giant Spirit Vikings and Grim Phantom Watches. Those spots became less popular with the addition of Lever, making Muties and Skelegons the new training meta. 4 Job was released, which also meant that mages got a spammable full map attack, making them one of the fastest leveling classes at that time. Afterwards, way more high level maps were added, like Future Hennessy's and the Arcane River, which is already in the game for 3 years by the way. What are some maps that you remember training in? Let me know in the comments. And that was it for this video. Many thanks to our members for making this video possible. Thanks to Quin, Niels de Coninck, Raar maar waar, Zenny, Chen125, Rarefum, Sebastian Hanøy, Alsagoff, Wang, INKZ and Pinky Traveler. If you would like to be mentioned here as well and get early access to new videos, check out the join button below this video. Thanks for watching, stay safe and happy mapling!